Well, the Red Sox have decisions coming up on minor league players and adding them to the 40-man roster. Possible they can add all five? Not likely, but we will discuss. Plus, we're going to visit with Red Sox minor league manager Chad Epperson. Eppy is going to join us and talk about the Red Sox minor league system from the 2024 baseball season. You're right where you need to be. You're Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Red Sox minor league manager Chad Epperson in about 4 minutes. Steve Lennox with you once again, filling in this week for Gabby Hurlbut. Now, Gabby Maljanian, as Gabby and her new husband David are enjoying their honeymoon. I'm Steve Lennox once again, longtime play-by-play announcer, host of Locked On Red Sox, postcaster in this past Red Sox season. Our latest Locked On Red Sox brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to win $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. As always, we invite you to participate with today's Locked On Red Sox episode. If you're with us on the Locked On Red Sox YouTube channel, hit the comment button. We want to hear from our everydayers and our first-timers as well. Join the conversation. You can also hit me up on the X at Lennox on Baseball with questions, comments, or concerns. Again, Chad Epperson, minor league manager, 22 years in the Red Sox system, last 3 years AA manager of the Portland Sea Dogs in the Eastern League. Eppy, he's going to join us in just a few moments. Now, if the World Series ends on Tuesday night, Dodgers now up 3-0 after taking Game 3 in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium against the Yankees on Monday night, winning 4-2. Yankees a late home run, but that pretty much it. If the World Series does end tonight, that starts the clock on Major League Baseball's postseason. It would be 5 days from the completion of the World Series, where the Red Sox would have to offer qualifying offers to Nick Pivetta and Tyler O'Neill. We'll discuss that coming up in segment number 3. We've discussed it before. O'Neill, end of the regular season, basically saying, hey, we've had at least initial conversations of, the want from both sides to return. But O'Neill, if he gets the qualifying offer, not many guys over the last handful of years since it went into play have accepted that qualifying offer, but if he did accept it, he would gain a huge, huge raise for 2025. It would be a 1-year deal at just over $20 million. If the Red Sox offer that qualifying offer to Tyler O'Neill or Nick Pivetta, probably more O'Neill than Pivetta. But if they offered it and it was rejected, there's draft pick compensation for 2025 involved in that as well. 5 minor league players for the Red Sox need to be added to the Major League roster and the 40-man roster by November 19th. So the Red Sox have some decisions there as well. We're going to get into some of those names with Chad Epperson and in our third segment on Locked On Red Sox as well. That's coming up in segment number 3. Again, Steve Lennox filling in for Gabby Hurlbut. Again, Gabby Maljanian on her honeymoon with her new husband, David. And tip of the cap to both Gabby and David. A week plus of marriage as they continue on their journey together. While we have a moment, do want to remind you as well, Mike Debate has you covered with everything involved with the New England Patriots. Locked On Patriots with Mike Debate daily. John Corrales has you covered with Locked On Celtics, and I'm on board now with the Locked On Celtics postcast. We were on Monday night after the Celtics improved to 4-0 with a nice comeback win in the second half at home at TD Garden against the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll be on again with the latest Locked On Celtics postcast after Wednesday's road game, first of 4 in a row for the Celtics on the road, as they'll be in Indianapolis to take on the 1-3 Indiana Pacers. Again, that's Locked On Celtics postcast, very much similar to Locked On Red Sox that we unveiled back in June for the baseball season. Again, Chad Epperson is going to be joining us here in just a few moments as we talk with Eppy about the 2024 Portland Sea Dogs. It was in August where Chad Epperson brought 3 of the top prospects into the office and basically said, hey, guys, congratulations, the big 3. It was Meyer, Anthony, and Teal going from AA to AAA. We're going to hear from Chad Epperson in just a few minutes on everything involved with the Portland Sea Dogs from this past season. That is coming up next right here, Locked On Red Sox. And Locked On Red Sox presented by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Again, FanDuel.com. So I do go way back with our guests that we're welcoming here on Locked On Red Sox. Chad Epperson was the manager of the Wilmington Blue Rocks in the Carolina League back in 2006. One of us didn't finish the season. That was me. We don't need to go into that right now. But Epi is joining us right now. Chad, always a pleasure. Appreciate you taking the time. You're in the Dominican Republic. And if you would, start right there, because as we talked earlier in the week on the phone, this is something that's important on your bucket list. And you're part of the coaching staff down in Dominican for the Caribbean Winter League season. Discuss that, if you will.
Yeah, it's good seeing you as always, Steve. But yeah, I've always wanted to come down and I played winter ball in Mexico back in '98, and I absolutely loved it. And when I got into the coaching, I wanted to get back over here and try. The Dominican is like, you know, the platform of winter ball. And I wanted to get down here and do it and experience the must-win kind of game 7 every night kind of feeling. And that's exactly what it is. You know, everything I expected and then some. And the opportunity came. Carlos Febles is a good friend of mine that is the bench coach here. And I was able to get on the coaching staff here with the Toros, and I'm enjoying it. We're about 10 or 11 games deep, and it's been, again, everything I expected and then some.
What's been the best part of the experience to this point, a couple of weeks in?
So I think the best part is as soon as you bring a guy in, you're double barreling down the bullpen. So you have options down there, like you have a bullpen, access to a bullpen where you're not going to run out of arms down there. So that is awesome. You don't have to sit there and worry about if the guy pitched yesterday or not. This is all in. These are my chips. I don't care if you threw yesterday. You came in, said you're good. And so I love the fact that you can just sit there and play matchup after matchup.
Great stuff. Chad Epperson just wrapped up his 3rd year as the manager of the AA Portland Sea Dogs in the Eastern League. Go back. I don't think it's sore because it's a minor league manager's. One of the great appreciations that you get is you bring guys into the office and tell them they're going up to the next level. Go back. August 11th, Alex Spear, Boston Globe, had it that the Red Sox are promoting Marcelo Meyer, Kyle Teal, and Robin Anthony to AAA Worcester. From the manager's perspective, being in your office, can you share the story on how you unveiled the news to all three?
Yeah, I think obviously we had the All-Star break, and there was a lot of rumors and a lot of noise that they were going to get moved up at that point in time. And then it was like, okay, after the trade deadline, let's move. And it just never really hit until the day you said. And so at that point in time, they were like, all right, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? So I called them all three in after the game. Obviously knew this was going to take place post-game. Called them all three in. And there's no doubt they knew walking into the office, but I tried to play it to where Chris Stacio, one of the front office guys, was there, and I tried to play it to something where they would get caught off guard, like, oh, we aren't getting called up. And I said MLB was doing an experiment winter ball league down in Haiti, and they were asked to participate in it, and they were like, no way. And so just watching their expressions going from, okay, we're getting called up to wait a second, no, and then told them that they were going up. It was awesome. I mean, anytime you are able to promote somebody, whether it's from A-ball, AA, AAA, the big leagues, I mean, it's such a good feeling as a staff, and because they're one step closer to their dream.
I mean, I imagine, Epi, it's got to be. I mean, you're sending three guys up, three position players, big part of the Red Sox future. We know how minor leagues are. You develop them, you bring them to the big league club. You possibly put them in trades. They're always auditioning. But this had to be a first, where you're taking three top prospects and they're all going up one level above where you're at the same time.
Yeah, this was a first for me, period, as far as like having the top three, prospects on the same roster. I mean, I know for a fact that's never happened as a manager, and I don't know if I've ever seen it as a coordinator. So that Haley's Comet kind of met, and and the thing is like with all the hype and with all the expectations, and these guys performed. I mean, it wasn't like we just sent them up because of their status. These guys absolutely from day one performed, and it was awesome to watch. So, yeah, it's great to get them going. And I tell you what, everybody, organization is biased to their prospects, but I'm telling you, it's exciting to be a Red Sox right now, to watch this young talent that comes through our system right now and know that these guys are going to impact our big league club very soon.
At that point when they went up, and it did become the Big Four when they all got the AAA Wooster, but at that point in time, when the three went up, did you know Christian Campbell was going to be moving on as well within the next, 9-10 days?
Yeah, he was always the guy that was just – he kept showing up to the party, right? Like, this guy just keeps showing up. He keeps showing up. And, you could argue that he had probably the better season of them all in the short term that he was in AA. I mean, this guy just came and played every day, didn't matter where you put him. I figured, like, since the big three were there for the start of the season and Campbell had got called up during the season, that they would probably let him kind of marinate a little bit more and make sure. But, anybody on our staff knew that he could have gone up at the same time. But it just, for other reasons, they kept him back for, I think it was a week later that he was called up, and rightfully so.
Last 3 years managing at AA Portland. Before that, you managed, then you went 12 years as the catching instructor in the Red Sox organization. Wanted to bring up Kyle Teel. Where is he right now, in your view, in terms of development as a catcher? What are some of the things that you expect him to be working on off-season and into spring training and early on in 2025?
Yeah, Kyle Teel, I mean, you talk about passion to play the game. This guy sleeps, eats, breathes the game of baseball, loves the game. Comes in for, he just completed his first full season and obviously made it to AAA. So that ought to tell you right there about his skill set. I think the biggest thing for Till is to continue to work on that skill set in all phases of catching, but also understand that, like, game calling, reading swings, understanding what the hitter's trying to do in the box. Those are the big things that he probably should hone in on moving forward. Because as far as blocking, throwing, catching the baseball, it's all there. It's just now and it's like that for everybody. That final icing on the cake is just making sure that they're able to read swings and put the digits down that need to be put down.
Epi, you mentioned all the different things that go into catching now. And at the big league level, people see the one knee, trying to steal strikes, all those different things. How is developing catchers in the minor league system for the Red Sox evolved with you at the helm as the catching instructor all those years? I mentioned 12 years, and even now as a manager. What are the things that people aren't getting right when you talk about big league catchers not blocking, framing, and trying to steal pitches and things like that?
Well, it's interesting because, like, me and Jason Varitek swore we were never going to have our catchers go to a knee. And then next thing you know, all our guys are on a knee. So, like, we can't be stubborn to our beliefs. We have to understand that what the game and however this can help the catcher. And at this point in time, catchers, the majority of what they do is receive. So want to put them in the best position to use their glove and use their gift of receiving the baseball. So it has evolved a lot. I think it's a lot easier for these guys, if you will. Not, I shouldn't say easier because catching is not easy, but they are down on knee. A lot of them are afraid that they're not going to be able to block baseballs, but until they do it in game, whether that's a live BP, whatever the confidence is, they will find that it is a lot easier to block from being on a knee. We can only block what we can block. We can't go into the right-handed batter's box and left-handed batter's box, whether we're in a traditional setup or on a knee, and make those blocks. So what we can block, we block. But it take away, I think there's 10% of balls in the dirt. There's 4% of the game that calls for us to throw. When we throw, if we're on our right knee, our alignment's a lot better as far as it is traditional. So there's a lot of pros and cons to a lot, but we don't blanket one way. Steve, we're not going to sit there and say you're going to catch on a knee coming in as a catcher into our organization. We will allow you to do what you feel comfortable with. We will make suggestions, but we will never blanket one style.
What in the minor leagues, and we'll touch on Brooks Browning as well. We're going to have him on the show on Wednesday. He's in the Arizona Fall League. But what in the minor leagues do you do in terms of preparation and, almost a priority list or a to-do list? You get that call to the big leagues. What's Kyle Teel going to see when he's in the big leagues? And because we've always heard over the years, it's taking care of the pitching staff, it's taking behind the plate. Your hitting goes way down the list. You mentioned Jason Varitek. He'd miss BP sessions. The stories are long because he was preparing for the game for what he was going to do behind the plate with the staff that night.
Yeah, no question. I mean, obviously Varitek was, at the pinnacle of what we expect our catchers to do. But these days now, and Tech will tell you, like, he didn't have people coming with information like they're giving us now. So it's a little easier for Till, but as long as that information is, he's able to understand it and digest it, you can have all the information you want, Steve, as you know. If you're not coming to that individual and explaining it to him the way he can read a menu, then it's lost, all right? So as long as that menu he's looking at, he understands, that's the biggest thing. So, for him, knowing that when he gets to the big leagues, it's about building these relationships. It's about building trust with the staff. Yes, you may miss out on BP. You may miss on some other things, but as long as you're all in on focusing what you got to do behind the plate and understanding that every pitch in the major leagues counts, and every pitch there's a reaction, and you have to see that reaction and then respond to that reaction with another action. So that's the thing that he's got to lock in on. And there's no question he will. It's just I don't think he's ever been challenged to do that. And I think moving forward that he's going to be challenged, obviously.
No, you don't have your assignment for 2025, but if you're back in AA Portland, and I'm sure you've seen him in spring training, what can you tell us about Brooks Browning, who is getting his first taste of what it's like to be a prospect in the Red Sox organization playing in the Arizona Fall League?
Yeah, no, it's great. This kid, I mean, again, another gamer, another guy you want in the trenches with you. Haven't been around him a whole lot the time I have. He's a yes, sir, shake your hand like a man, and love that kind of attitude, especially being a catcher. But, the big thing with Brooks is just being healthy. He's struggled with injuries, and now he's able, even in spring training, he kind of got hurt there and kind of delayed his start. But, he's shown now that when healthy, what he can do. And, this is the reason he's out in the Fall League. And kudos to him for putting in the work. And guy's an animal. I don't know if you've seen him lately, but this guy, there's that announcement.
Got some video.
It is unbelievable. It's just a beast. He carries around like 2 quarts of water everywhere he goes. And it's great. So love the guy, man. Love that he puts the gear on every day and straps it on and plays the game the right way.
Epi, there are a couple of guys who you had this year, not asking you if they should be on the 40-man roster going into 2025. We'll save that for others. But just guys that you had this year that the Red Sox have to make some decisions on. We'll start with pitcher Hunter Dobbins. What did you like from him this year? What kind of makeup does Dobbins have, 24-year-old at AA this year?
I mean, I tell you what, you talk about a guy just, he's a different breed, man. Texas boy that just steps on the toes of rubber and gets after it and trusts everything he has. He's as confident in his off speed as he is his fastball, and his fastball is damn good. He's not going to back down from any challenge. And this guy, arguably, him and Coffey probably best pitchers in that league. I mean, these guys just dominated. And I'm not talking about metrics. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm just talking about the end of the day results. These two guys went after it. And Dobbins' stuff, I mean, he's confident, and I love that about him. And, he went up to AAA at the end and performed. And this guy's a big league pitcher, man. As a manager, as a staff member, even as a catcher going to the ballpark, if the confidence and knowing you had a shot to win every night with a guy that was on the mound, that was a great feeling. And every time Dobbins was on the mound, I knew this was going to be a good game.
How about, and I think I have this one, he's known as the password, but just Nixon, Garcia, and Blaze Jordan. Two guys that still have age very much on their side, but again, Red Sox have to make decisions on those guys. You've had Jordan each of the last, the previous 2 years, 23 and 24, I believe.
Yeah, Jordan, again, he kind of, as soon as it seemed like he got traction going, he got hurt. So there were 2 times where he spent on the IL this year. One with a broken finger and another one he got hit in the face with a pitch. But very young prospect. We knew when we drafted him it was a high ceiling that probably when you draft that kind of power, it's going to take some time for the swing decisions and consistency of what we're trying to get to that from him. And kudos to him. He's gone to AA. He's performed, probably not to what everybody wants him to, but again, this guy hasn't been able to stay healthy for a full season. So once he does that, I think you're going to see the ball really jump off his bat. And his body transformation from the first year to where he is now is a huge difference, and that's only going to continue to get better. As far as the password, Steve, best nickname in all baseball, password. I mean, once they explained to me why it was password, I absolutely fell in love with it. But a gamer, I don't even know, honestly, the short time he was there, I would talk to him. He'd just shake his head like, whatever, I'm playing the game the way I know how. And I tell you what, I don't want to step in the way of that because he got after it, whether it's playing defense out in the outfield, whether he popped the ball up in the infield and he's standing on second base as the guy's making the catch. Love the way this guy went about it and looking forward to seeing more moving forward.
I love how you put it there with Garcia because I was reading, Google Chad Epperson in last February, Portland Press Dispatch up in Portland, Maine, where you've now been a manager each of the last 3 years. Brian Abraham, Red Sox Director of Player Development, saying it about you. I'm like, yeah, that fits the guy I knew all those years ago. Eppy's ability to develop talent as well as have those difficult conversations with players when necessary is what makes him a good fit with the Sea Dogs. Go back to when you first started managing the Red Sox organization. Who were the guys that had who were mentors or just who had a positive influence on you from your playing days as to how you established yourself as a manager? And now, tip of the cap, going into year number 23 with one organization. That speaks volumes.
Well, I appreciate it, Steve. Been very blessed in this. But, when you start as a player, and I never – every kid's dream is to play professional baseball and play in the big leagues. And then, you're playing high school and go 2 years, and then I got drafted. And it was just like, wow, this is amazing. And to spend 10 years in minor league baseball, you play for different managers, you play for different, coaches. I played with 3 different organizations. DeMarlo Hell was a huge, mentor for me as far as he managed me in 98, 99. And I just loved how he had control of the clubhouse, the dugout, and the game. And it was not, look at me. He just had this presence, and you felt it. Like you knew exactly what you could do and what you couldn't do with him. And everybody says players manager, players manager. Yeah, he's going to back you as long as you're doing what you need to do. And I always felt like if I would to get into coaching, this is exactly who I wanted to see myself in the mirror is DeMarlo Hell. And I think that experience playing for different managers, because there's some managers that, I may not have liked to play for, but they've helped me today because I do see what they were trying to do. And not just for me, for another player or a team. But how DeMarlo went about it is exactly what I wanted to do. And as I started, we started, I think, 3-21 my first year managing in Augusta. And I was like, oh, my goodness, this is not good, obviously. But I just want to make sure the players can come to a clubhouse knowing that their manager and their staff is going to be the same every day. And that I want them in that clubhouse. I set a report time just to make sure everybody's there at the same time. And if report time's at 1, I want them there at 11 o'clock. Because that's when these guys are having fun. These guys want to be at the clubhouse. And I've had, Steve, man, I never have thought in a million years that I'd been with the Red Sox for as long as I have, been coaching as long as I have, played as long as I have. It's just been a blessing, man, and I'm very blessed and thankful. And I don't want it to end, really. You never – everything comes to an end. But, I feel like I can, just going on hole number 10 right now, heading toward the back
there
nine.
You go.
So we'll see. But very blessed, man.
You mentioned there – ball players are this, ball players are that. A lot of times, and I deal with 2 teenagers right now in my household of, it's more of what you can't do than what you can do. And prospects, minor leaguers get that all the time, scouts and everything. It's, what they can't do and along those lines. But you mentioned a report time of 1 o'clock. You want them there at 11. The minor league baseball players that, the big league guys, we just watched the comeback and, those guys being in the clubhouse and talking baseball. The present day minor league guys talk baseball when they're in the clubhouse and having that fun that you alluded to?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're always talking about baseball. They're always talking about whether it was a play that happened yesterday or something that they may have seen in a game on TV. Talking about that night's starter, like what we've seen from him in the past. I'm not saying that, Steve, that they're sitting there every breath that comes out of their mouth is baseball because they're talking about all kinds of stuff. But the majority of that time they're in that clubhouse, it's baseball. I sit outside. I sit in my office. I can just hear from the outside.
Yep.
Just talking baseball. And as a manager, I love it. I love it. You get a group of guys that sit there and talk baseball, and it could be the stupidest thing, Steve, but they're talking baseball, and God only knows what clicks and what hits for some people is different. And as long as they're in there and they're talking, and nothing but good can come out of it.
Epi, great stuff. Enjoy your time in the Dominican, and hopefully we cross paths down the line here. But I really do appreciate you taking some time, and you gave some great insight as well.
Steve, appreciate you, man. Great seeing you, and thanks for having me.
Chad Epperson, manager in the Red Sox organization, again, 22 years. We crossed paths in 2006, and Epi just an outstanding, baseball guy. And I know that's a compliment that he appreciates, but he's also just a terrific person as well. Chad Epperson joining us, gave us some good stuff on Kyle Teal, Brooks Brannon, sharing the story of the big 3 going up, and then Campbell going up less than 10 days, about 10 days later. So he lost a lot in that AA Portland lineup. And again, it always, riding the buses in the minor leagues for as many years as I did, A-ball, Advanced A, Carolina League, Kansas City Royals affiliate, Red Sox affiliate, being with teams in the New York Penn League. Minor league managers, and Chad Epperson is as competitive as anyone. You heard him mention there, 3-21 record his first year managing. He remembers that. No manager wants to go 3-21 over a 24-game stretch. They want to be competitive, but there's a certain type of individual. Chad Epperson is one of those guys who understands it's about the development, who understands if he's the A-ball manager, it's his job to get them to Double-A and be ready to go and be prepared. He's now at Double-A for 3 straight years with Double-A Portland in the Eastern League. His job and Double-A, you're knocking on the door. These guys in the Red Sox organization, the position prospects that are right there on the brink of the big leagues and realizing their dreams of getting to the big leagues, you're in Double-A and you're considered a top prospect, you're knocking on the door. You're right there. Triple A's for the finishing touches to face basically former big leaguers and guys older than you are. But Chad Epperson is one of those guys, years as a catching instructor, 12 years, got back into managing, something he wanted to do. And he's been with the Double-A Portland Sea Dogs each of the last 3 years, getting guys to that next level. The finishing touches, the polishing, things like that. Epi is terrific at that. Glad we were able to catch up with him. Coming up, I'm going to go through some of those guys that are basically right there in terms of being in the big leagues, but also Red Sox, November 19th, they've got 5 guys that are either going to be added to the 40-man roster or they're going to be exposed to the Rule 5 draft in December. We'll discuss those guys, as we heard from Chad Epperson on a couple of them, in just a moment. You're right where you need to be. You're Locked On Red Sox. And again, Steve Lennox in for Gabby Hurlbut on Locked On Red Sox, presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Sign up today. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineup stays in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and does not return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks is able to discount select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineup. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's a $50 bonus. You don't even need to win when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, Prize Picks, run your game. Again, our thanks to Chad Epperson. If you're with us, Locked On Red Sox, we do have a comment. We're going to hit that in just a moment. But if you're with us and you want to drop us a comment, feel free. Locked On Red Sox YouTube channel. Just hit on the comment button. Z Corp, Red Sox go after Soto? ? And then I think that's the fire emoji. If you're going after Soto, I understand. If you want to go after Juan Soto, you're playing in the deep end of the pool, and that might prevent you from doing other things that you want to do this offseason and into the future as well. You're looking at $50 to $60 million a year for the next 10 years for Juan Soto, probably even longer. His contract's going to take him to age 40 in all likelihood. Didn't think we were going to get that one, but that's all right. Don't know that Juan Soto is where you want to go. Pitching. Believe that. Jemai Webster, sideline reporter, covers the Red Sox and isn't part of the Nesson broadcast, said that yesterday when we had him on. And if you missed that conversation, it's available on the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, also on the Locked On Red Sox YouTube channel as well. I want to see him go after the top pitchers. And again, if you're adding a starting pitcher and then to the bullpen via free agency, I'd rather go that route. That's my opinion right now. Build team around him. Yeah, Z Corp. Max Fried, free agent. Corbin Burns, free agent. Those are the guys you can go after. But I think if you build around Juan Soto, you're going down a road that prevents you from having flexibility. I think that's the best way to put it. And I'd rather be flexible in terms of that money. You lock him up for 13 years. I'd rather see what these minor league guys do, have them on affordable contracts, go sign pitching. Go add to your bullpen, provide deep depth for your bullpen, and add the starter or two in front of what you already have in the fold. Appreciate the comments, though. Want to get into these guys because we got to get out of here. This is segment number 3. Again, our thanks to to Chad Epperson. I was reading the password. Gonna have to get to know this one a little bit. Josh Nixon Garcia, 22 years old in December. Greenville, Salem, Portland, 3 different levels in the Red Sox organization. Again, these are guys, 5 players the Red Sox have to add to the 40-man roster, or they're going to be available and exposed to the Rule 5 draft in December. There's 5. Garcia, 22 again in December, young guy. I think he's added to the 40-man roster. Number 12 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline, MLB.com, Jim Callis and Jonathan Mayo running those. Alan Castro's another guy. Greenville and Portland this year. 42 extra base hits. Again, 21 years old. Got on base, 343 on base percentage overall. Hunter Dobbins. We heard Chad Epperson on Hunter Dobbins. 24 years old, Double-A this year. But he's a guy who's probably age-wise and everything. You put him on the 40-man roster. He goes to Triple-A next year. You've got depth there. Again, best case scenario for the Red Sox, Priester, Fitz, Dobbins, those guys are your starting pitchers at the AAA level. They're all on the 40-man roster. So instead of having a bullpen day, if you're at home in Fenway, you've got one of those guys right down the road. If it plays out where they fit in, they're up, and you don't have to have those bullpen days because those bullpen days can hurt you the night before, and they can hurt you for a few days after the fact as well. Alan Castro, I mentioned, 21 years old. The age says you're going to continue to give this guy an opportunity. He's a top 20 prospect in the Red Sox organization, according to MLBpipeline.com. Yordany Monegro, 22-year-old right-handed pitcher, 6-2 Greenville this past year. Again, another young arm. So you have to see, where do you put him in? Again, that guy you may expose to the Rule 5 draft, 22 years old, is a team going to want him on the big league roster next year? Because if you take him at the major league phase of the Rule 5 draft, he's got to be on your 40-man roster all of next year. Is there a club out there that thinks Monegro is one of those guys you can keep there? Pitch him when you need to pitch him, and then, sort of bring them along that way. Blaze Jordan, 22 in December, 3rd-round pick by the Red Sox in 2020. They've got 5 guys. They've got the free agents coming up, but they've got 5 guys. Again, have to make the decision. The deadline is, I believe, 6 p.m. Eastern time, November 19th, where those 5 players have to be either added to the 40-man roster or exposed to the Rule 5 draft in June. Red Sox have some decisions to make, and I would imagine they're down the road in their decision-making process, but maybe it's still going to take a few weeks here to make those decisions. And we'll monitor it. Gabby will monitor it. Locked On Red Sox going forward. Wednesday, we're going to talk with Brooks Brannon from the Arizona Fall League. We have lined that up. Jen McCaffrey is going to join us from The Athletic. She covers the Red Sox for The Athletic, does a terrific job. She's going to join us on Thursday. TBA, TBD for Friday with our final guest filling in for Gabby Hurlbut here on Locked On Red Sox. So that's going to do it for us. Again, our thanks to Chad Epperson for joining us. Again, back at it Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, Locked On Red Sox YouTube channel. Again, the podcast will be up shortly and available wherever you get your podcasts as well. That is going to be a wrap on our latest edition of the Locked On Red Sox. Again, for your next listen, check out Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic and Game 4 of the World Series with Sully, who has you covered every day. That's going to do it for us. Again, we appreciate you checking us out. Thanks to FanDuel and Prize Picks as well. For Gabby Hurlbut, I'm Steve Lennox. Remember, Locked On Sports, Locked On Red Sox, your team, your Red Sox every day.